Hello, welcome to this beginner-friendly sun salutation sequence. This week, join me in my garden. It's summertime, so we've got a late sunset. It's about 8 p.m. We are going to go through a beginner-friendly sun salutation sequence, holding some of the warrior positions. Warrior 1, Warrior 2, Warrior 3, and building up some core work. Making your way onto all fours, equally through your hands and knees. Start by inhaling, chest open, gaze lifted. Exhaling, rounding through the upper back. Inhale, open up the chest, dropping the belly, arching the back. Exhale, rounding through the spine. Try and do this a few more times, sinking it in with your breath at your own pace, always inhaling up into cow, exhaling, curving the spine into your cat pose, making sure weight's equally distributed, shoulders away from your ears. You might want to close your eyes while you're doing this as well, it can be quite nice. Then returning to a neutral spine to thread the needle, right arm up, and then push it through under your left arm, stretching your left arm in front, right palm is to the ground, eyes closed, head towards the left side, bottom in the air, and just feel that deep twist in the upper back, gentle breaths. Start to bend that left arm to support yourself back up, lifting the left arm up this time, and then again threading it through under your right arm stretches out in front, left arm towards the right, left side of your face on your mat, bottom in the air, stretching out and feeling that upper body twist. And then bring that left arm down, right arm back, coming into plank, and then pushing back into your downward facing dog. So this is your first downward dog of the practice, sending your hips to the sky, softening the knees as much as you need to, making sure you're pressing equally through the hands and the fingers slightly engaged, drawing your heels towards the mat, but remembering that they may not be quite to the mat, and that's fine. Stepping to the front of your mat and slowly rolling all the way up to stand. Coming to the front of your mat, standing in Tadasana, mountain pose, grounding equally through your feet, softening the knees, gently engaging the thighs, hips stacked over knees over ankles, shoulders rolled up and down away from your ears. Inhaling your arms up overhead, and then exhaling, forward fold, hands to shin, halfway rise. Exhale, planting your hands down to the mat. Stepping your right foot back, and then your left foot, and coming into plank. Drop your knees, uncurl the toes, and we're just going to do knees, chest, chin. So slightly hinge your hips forward, shoulders slightly over wrists, bending the elbows, keeping the elbows into the body. Chin and chest and knees are on the floor, and then gently slide your bottom down. Coming into low cobra, pinching elbows into the waist, pushing up slightly to full cobra before coming back to your downward facing dog. Remembering at any point you can rest in child's pose, or come to your downward dog, which is your active resting pose. Looking to the front of the mat, stepping between the hands, inhaling hands to shins, and then exhale, forward fold fully, soften the knees, and then gently rolling up to standing. Arms up overhead on your next inhale, and then gently resting at your side. We will now do another modified sun salutation, inhaling the arms up into prayer overhead, exhale, forward fold, hinging at the hips, inhaling hands to shins, halfway up, exhale, forward fold, planting your hands into the mat, stepping the right foot back, then the left into plank, And then again, coming down to your knees, we'll do the knees, chest, chin again. Or if you would like, you can do the full flow. Inhaling up to low cobra or high cobra, and then exhale through to your downward facing dog. You might like to pedal out the legs here. Gaze can be on your toes or your shins, making sure that your neck is relaxed. Then looking at the hands, stepping your feet through the hands, inhaling halfway up, and then exhale, forward fold before bending the knees and inhaling up to rise, hands overhead, exhale, hands back down to your sides. Getting ready to build up our sun salutation and adding in a bit of a warrior sequence. Inhaling the hands up overhead, exhaling, forward fold, hands to shin, inhale, exhale, stepping the right foot back, then the left foot back. Now you could stick with your knees, chest, chin, or you can do a full chaturanga. This involves keeping the knees up, and then you're going to keep the elbows in as you do a press up almost to the floor, keeping your knees and thighs and hips lifted in your upward facing dog before exhaling back to your downward facing dog. From here, we're going to come into three-legged dog, lifting your right foot up into the sky, and then bend the knee, keeping that thigh as much into the chest before helping the foot to the front of the mat or stepping through if you're able to. You can lower the left knee, or if you're able to, keep it lifted, and we're going to come up into our high lunge. Exhale. Coming into your warrior one, you're going to plant your left heel, toes slightly facing forward, hips and shoulders square to the front, knee over ankle, arms up overhead in this strong pose. We're going to open into warrior two now. Shoulders are away from the ears. Your back foot is slightly turned in with the toes, but your front and back heels are aligned. Your knees should be open so that you can see your toes, and your dristi, your gaze, should be at your front middle finger. Taking some strong breaths here. Twisting back round into your high crescent, we're going to come into warrior three. So you can do one big hop, or if you need to, you can do several smaller hops to get you back to the front of the mat, keeping that left foot lifted, hinging at the hips into your warrior three. If you're new to this pose, your leg doesn't need to be high. You mainly want to focus on keeping the hips square to help aiding your balance. You can either keep your hands at the heart center or stretch them out in front of you. Then lowering the hands, coming back into your lunge, stepping back into plank, and finding your flow, either knees, chest, chin, or full chaturanga, before pushing back into your downward facing dog. Lifting again into three-legged dog, your left leg this time, and then hugging the knee and thigh into the chest before helping your foot to the front of the mat between your hands. If you need to keep your knee down, you can, or you can lift your knee and come up into your high lunge, sinking in your exhales further into the hips. Grounding your right heel, toes slightly forward, hips and chest square to the front of the mat. Arms up overhead in your strong warrior one pose, taking some nice energizing breaths here. And then open up into your warrior two pose. Shoulders away from your ears, arms stretched out either side of you. Dristi, your gaze at the front middle finger, and pressing the weight equally through to both feet, making sure that your heels are in a straight line when you look at them. Opening back up to your high crescent, hands to prayer in the heart, and again you can do several small steps or one big step, keeping that right foot off the floor, hinging at the hips, keeping the hips square and gently extending your back foot, keeping the foot flexed into your warrior 3 pose. Remembering that to begin with, your leg doesn't need to be super high, and gradually building up. Remembering you can bend your supporting knee as much as you need, arms stretched out, then planting the hands back down to the ground and stepping into your plank. Find your flow. You can do a knees, chest, chin, or your full chaturanga, pushing back into a child's pose at the end. Taking a few breaths here, regulating your breathing in this extended child's pose with your arms out in front before curling under the toes and then pushing back into your downward facing dog. Taking a couple of breaths here before looking at your hands and then stepping your feet between your hands. Inhale halfway, hands to shin. Exhale, forward fold, softening the knees and gently coming up to stand. Amazing. Well done. We're going to repeat that cycle again, adding a little bit more. Inhaling the arms up overhead, exhaling, forward fold. Inhale, hands to shins, halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold, hands down, stepping the right foot back, then the left foot into plank, lowering the knees, chest and chin, pushing through to low cobra, pushing back into your downward facing dog, hips to the sky, heels to the ground, shoulders away from ears, lifting the right leg up, bending the knee into your chest, holding this here for a second, pushing back up again into your 3-legged dog, and then squeezing the knee into the chest again, and then helping it through to the front of the mat or stepping through. You can have your knee down or keep it lifted and come up into your high lunge. Exhale, sinking through the hips. Opening up to your warrior 1, lowering that left heel, toes slightly forward before coming into your warrior 2. Opening up the chest, dristi at the front, middle finger, shoulders away from the ears, keeping that knee open, pushing up and then coming into your warrior 3 again. Don't worry if you lose your balance, but trying to keep that left leg lifted and then gently pushing back into your warrior 3 pose, bending and softening that supported leg as much as you need, trying to keep your hips square to the floor. Lowering the hands down now, coming back through plank, find your flow, knees, chest, chin again, or you can do your full chaturanga and then pushing back into your downward facing dog. Taking a couple of breaths here, then inhaling the left leg up into 3-legged dog, squeezing the thigh, then into your chest, push back into your 3-legged dog, and then bring the knee again back into your chest, keeping it there before lowering the foot between your hands and then coming up into your high lunge. Inhale, exhale, sinking through the hips a little bit more, grounding that right heel, hips square, shoulders square, arms up overhead into your strong warrior 1 pose. Opening up on your next inhale to warrior 2, arms out, fingers active, pressing equally through the feet, coming up again through high crescent, hands returning to your heart center, and then either one big jump or a couple of hops, coming up, standing, balancing on your left leg, pushing that right leg behind you, hinging at the hips, keeping the hips square, coming forward into your warrior 3 pose. This is a strong balancing pose, and it's definitely something that you build up over time. Arms forward, lowering down to the mat, pushing back into your plank pose, and then find your flow, knees, chest, chin, or full chaturanga before pushing back into your downward facing dog. Gaze at your shins, shoulders away from your ears, pressing evenly through your hands, through your feet, And then looking at the front of your mat, stepping between your hands, forward fold, and then inhale up to rise, hands overhead. Making your way now to a seated position on the mat, sitting on your sit bones, knees bent. You're going to gently shift your weight back ever so slightly so you're on the very end of your spine, on your tailbone, with your feet out in front. You can either be on your tippy toes, or if you need your foot fully flat on the ground, you're just going to gently start to lift one leg, tap the toes, and then lift the other. We're really bringing some energy into our core, strengthening the muscles that wrap around our abdomen and support our back. And if you try and time this with your inhale and exhale, gently tapping and alternating the leg that you lift up out in front of you. You can stay doing this, or if this feels okay, you could start to balance with your knees out in front, feet both off the ground, and if that feels very comfortable, you could let go of your hands from behind your thighs and try and balance. If you're finding this okay, then you could work towards straightening your legs and maybe opening your arms out wide into full boat. And then exhaling, bringing everything in together, and you're going to make your way down to the mat into your Shavasana corpse pose for final relaxation. If you need to grab a jumper or some socks, do this now and get yourself into a very comfortable position. Once you've found that comfortable position, I encourage you now to remain in stillness, trying to avoid the urge to move now and just really resting in stillness. Start to bring your awareness to your breath now. Can you feel the inhale through your nose, feeling the air as it passes through your airways? Holding your next inhale just for a few counts, and then exhaling out through your nose. I'd like you to do this a couple of times with your own breath, just feeling the airflow in and out through your nostrils, thinking about how it feels. Now, while you're in tune and settled in with your breathing, think about how this practice has made you feel. Are there any areas of tension? Can you send your breath to those areas where you feel that you might just need a bit more love in those areas? And exhale. Can you tell yourself that you are feeling relaxed? Scanning the body, and then slowly bringing your awareness back to your breath. Slowly now, bringing some movement to the body, maybe wiggling the fingers and toes, stretching the arms out fully, stretching the legs away, and then bringing everything in, giving yourself a hug, drawing the knees into the chest, maybe rocking side to side or circling the knees, massaging that lower back, whatever feels good for you right now. Make it intuitive. And then slowly, keeping your eyes closed if you're able to, rolling over to one side, and then making your way up to a comfortable seated position. We'll just do a couple of deep breaths, hands by your side, then lift them up overhead, bringing your hands down through prayer at your heart center. Let's do that again, inhaling the arms up overhead into prayer, exhaling the hands into the heart center. And again, inhaling the arms up overhead into prayer, exhaling, let them rest at the heart center. Gently opening your eyes now, thanking yourself for your practice today. I hope you enjoyed this. I loved practicing with you, and I can't wait to see you in the next one.